Tales from Veilenia, Fallen Kingdom, Part 1. Created using MATLAB, this is a text-based adventure game following a lost hero with no memory of his previous life as he struggles against detrimental revelations about himself and his world. Gameplay is defined by the user inputting directions as he or she explores the world of Veilenia, while defending against monsters. Combat is defined by turn-based attacks in which the player is able to gain experience, new weapons and armors, and level up so as to be able to fight even more ferocious enemies.
Hey, you! Do you want to be a hero?
The game features a rich backstory detailing the world of Veilenia and what has happened to bring it to where it is. Cutscenes exist in between gameplay to further advance the plot of the story. Character development can be observed throughout the game as the protagonist begins to discover who he is and, more importantly, why he is significant to the fate of Veilenia. Environments are detailed in differing areas in which the player is able to type in directions to proceed to the next one. All of this is programmed into MATLAB in simple scripts which allow the user to advance the narrative at their own pace. Items and monster drops were stored in Excel sheets for better organization. Specific calculations allowed the character stats to increase at balanced rates. Weapons, magic, items, and armor were all created from scratch and balanced to the characters and various monster stats. Matrices proved invaluable encoding in the items. They allowed for aspects such as attack, defense, and item code to all be stored in single variables, which were collected in specific mat files. MATLAB also makes operations on individual elements of a matrix easy, so calculations for damage and defense ratings were a breeze. Cell arrays allowed for the easy display of variable names to the user, while structure arrays helped organize the item and values associated with it in one place. Various functions were created to assist the player in the adventure. One of these is a shop, which can be found throughout the game. Buy functions and sell functions were implemented into the shop, making use of money the player earns as monsters are defeated. Functions used to view the player's inventory, magic, and stats were also created, as well as functions used for equipping items and displaying help commands. As the player moves through the game world, he or she can call these functions at any time to change their equipment, check to see what key items they have, as well as judge if their stats are high enough for a coming boss battle. Functions which aren't called by the player, such as the leveling function, were also created. Difficulties arose in finding a way to collect all the variables in the player's inventory or in the shop, and then concentrating these into single matrices. As many variables had differing numbers of columns in their rows, for loops were used to separate these into distinct batches which were then concentrated into their own matrices. Updating the quantities of items purchased or sold in shops also proved difficult. Since the variable being purchased or sold is selected by the user, a placeholder variable had to be used instead. The quantity was then updated using the append-in function, which modified the selected variable instead of the placeholder. The coding was also restructured several times, where here I was about to write out a save statement for every variable in the game, before remodeling this using the assign-in function. Of course, the bulk of the game comes in fighting monsters. When fighting, the player is given 4 options: attack, magic, item, and flee. As the player progresses, the strength of the attacks as well as the amount of items and magic available increases. About 25 original monsters were coded into the game and are encountered throughout Veilenia. If the monster is killed, it will drop items and money depending upon the player's luck. The battle script carries out the player attack options. Various control and conditional statements, as well as loops, are used to coordinate the player's equipment, stats, magic, and attack options into one place. When playing the game, the player will be able to navigate through winterlands and forests. Directions are inputted and the player continues to the next area specified by that direction. Random encounters with monsters will pop up in between areas that the player must fight. Special events such as item pickups, locked doors, or riddles that must be solved will also be encountered along the way.
A dense and vast forest lies ahead of me. Do I want to go straight, left, or right? Straight, enter. Right, enter. Straight, enter. Investigate, tree. Savior's armbands. A blue object blocked my path. I shall jump over it. I have been bested by this mighty blue beast, but I shall continue my quest. Investigate, base of tree. Found Savior's plate legs. Found Savior's chest plate. Found Savior's sword. Found the Savior's helmet. Equip! Ah!